name is Emily Salmora, and I want to talk about non-harmful drugs and the right way to use them in the horse racing industry. I have right here butylphenazone, and this was used on my horse. It's a powdered form that I have. There is injectable forms too, and other types of pills. It is basically compared to Tylenol, but in horse form. It's a pain reliever, and it's a great way to go for when you need a quick, easy fix. It's not a fix, but it's more of the relief. My horse was lame, and he needed the pain relief so that he didn't feel as bad. And I've seen it in other cases where horses at a barrel race, they may have fell or clipped themselves, and it's a nice way to ease the pain even if they broke a bone, which it might take long to figure out what actually happened, what's broke, and the horse can't sit there still in pain, so they need to give them something to ease up for them while they have the tragic incident. Many of you have been to maybe Monmouth Park if you're a New Jerseyan, and some of you may have seen on TV the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness Stakes, the Belmont Stakes. These are all examples of where you can see maybe these incidents happening, or if you just have went there. If you have seen an incident happen, comment below, please. I wanted to refer to Bute a lot because it is used in the horse racing industry, and it's a drug that is allowed, and trainers and owners need to be really on top of what's allowed and what's not, because that could lead to a fine and your horse could be out of the race. So this anti-inflammatory drug treats for short-term purposes, and it's a pain reliever. Trainers or vets will inject a horse shortly before a race to mask the pain and reduce the inflammation. Prolonged use of Bute for the weakened bone, tendons, and muscles. Bute does not provide a horse the ability to run faster, which is a good cause. They could run naturally, but it allows the injured horse to race. And this is stated by Henry from Are Racehorses Abused and Cruel Facts of Horse Racing. Now, I just wanted that example from that article because it shows how Bute is used. Sometimes it is a bad habit because it masks a horse's problem and injury, but in all cases, it still gets the horse to race, and at least the horse isn't sitting there still in pain. Another example is from the Butylphenazone Equine Horse Health Matters, and this is showing what Bute is used for, and it's used for lameness, musculoskeletal pain from the tissue injury, muscle soreness, bone joint problems, and laminitis. Not all horse drugs are used for pain, and there are a lot of horse drugs that are used for therapeutic, which I found very interesting. Horses have approved therapeutic medications by the horse racing grounds, which is great because there's the injuries, there's a therapeutic, and sometimes there's just the regular medications the horse needs on its daily life. An approved medication will allow the horse to come back negative in a drug test, which that's the testing that needs to be done before their racing time. And if they fail that test, they're not allowed to race, or they'll get caught and they'll be fined. The RMTC has established a list of 30 approved controlled therapeutic medications. For example, Emprovozole may be used to treat and prevent ulcers in horses, and this is recommended to be stopped approximately 24 hours before racing time. This was stated by Jennifer Greshman, Medication Use in Horse Racing, Yay or Nay, that article. This is an example of a therapeutic medication being approved by the horse racing industry, and is great because ulcers are a very big deal. While it could make all the acids from running. So when a horse runs and they didn't eat, all the acids inside start moving around, but if they did eat, they won't be moving around as much. So it's important for a horse to eat before they race because that could build ulcers and that's very traumatic. So sometimes ulcers, they have medications where they could be given to a horse just to make sure there's no causes of that. And now that we know a few medications are familiar, I wanted to go to resources that have the list of approved medications. In Chapter 8 of the Kentucky Derby Rulebook, they state the list of banned medications and appropriate medications. In Chapter 8 of the Kentucky Horse Racing Commission Uniform Drug Medication and Substance Classification Schedule, each medication is in the form of a class. So from A to D, it lists the severity of how it will affect a horse's performance or how it will not. The Kentucky Derby Horse Commission withdrawal guidelines, thoroughbred and standardbred quarter horse, Appaloosa, and Arabian section states the substances may be administered up to 24 hours prior to scheduled post time of the race. There are different times, there are different standards, there are so many different guidelines to each medication that is strictly so important for a trainer to know what they are giving to their horse, what time they give it, and everything under those standards. If they do not give the horse the medication at the right time, they can still be fined because it's not in the right time frame. So the trainers and owners need to evaluate their horse, and to avoid these conflicts, it's so important because their horse could be out of the race, they can be out of the race, and most likely you'll hear them on TV the next day. In conclusion, I want you to see and be aware of all the crazy medications and crazy names you'll hear. You can see the different scenarios and what could happen, and being a horse trainer and owner comes with a great deal and responsibilities in the horse racing industry, and I wanted to leave